Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to go deep, into Exodus chapter 31. We've got some really interesting material here. It kind of brings together this divine artistry with, skilled craftsmanship, and you guessed it, the mandatory day of rest.
The Sabbath.
Yeah, the Sabbath. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you might be thinking, Exodus, really? Isn't that a little, ancient? But trust me, this chapter, it's packed with some surprisingly relevant insights about talent, purpose, leadership, and even work-life balance.
It's really amazing how these stories, even from, thousands of years ago, they still speak to us today. What we're going to be exploring are these timeless principles about recognizing talent, about nurturing it, and then directing it towards something bigger than ourselves.
Okay, so picture this. The Israelites, they're in the desert. They just got out of Egypt, where, let's be honest, their main skill set was bricklaying. Not exactly fine art.
Right.
But then God gives them these instructions to build the tabernacle, this elaborate portable sanctuary.
A symbol of God's presence among them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's where it gets really interesting. So instead of God just telling everyone to just figure it out, the text actually tells us that God specifically calls out Bezaleel and Aholiab.
Yeah. He doesn't just choose them. He fills them with the Spirit of God in wisdom and in understanding and in knowledge and in all manner of workmanship.
Okay, so that's definitely not something you see on a typical LinkedIn profile.
It's not at all.
But it raises a really interesting question.
It does.
So what does this divine selection actually tell us about recognizing talent? Does it suggest that some people are just inherently gifted? Or is there maybe a deeper message here about mentorship and guidance?
That's a great point. It really makes you wonder, if we look at modern mentorship programs or talent development initiatives, are we in a way echoing this ancient idea of recognizing and nurturing potential?
Right. And think about the craftsmanship involved in the tabernacle. I mean, this was next level: gold, silver, bronze, precious stones, intricate carvings.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't just a tent. This was a masterpiece. Mobile architecture on a divine scale.
Right. And we often talk about divine inspiration, but this chapter really highlights that human element, the dedication, the years of training, the mastery of these specific techniques.
Absolutely. It wasn't just magic. It was hard work and expertise.
It makes you wonder, could we draw parallels to the dedication required in professions today? Whether it's a surgeon performing a complex procedure or a programmer writing this elegant code, there's that same level of commitment and expertise at play.
I think so.
So speaking of expertise, did Bezaleel and Aholiab really handle this massive project all by themselves?
That's a good question. And the text actually provides us with an answer. So it mentions that God filled the hearts of all that are wise-hearted with wisdom. So that implies that there was actually a whole team of skilled individuals working on the tabernacle.
Oh, so it's a collaborative effort. That's fascinating. What do you think this says about leadership? In a project like this, you got these divinely appointed leaders, but also a whole community of these skilled craftspeople.
Yeah. It suggests a really interesting model of leadership where you have Bezaleel and Aholiab kind of at the forefront, probably providing that vision and guidance. But you also have this whole network of skilled individuals, each one contributing their unique talents to the project.
Right. It's like this well-oiled machine with everyone working together toward that common goal.
It makes you think about, how important that synergy between leadership and teamwork is, even today.
It does. I mean, think about any successful project today, whether it's a tech startup, a film production, or a scientific breakthrough. It always involves a combination of that strong leadership and then a talented, dedicated team.
Right.
Okay, so we've got divine inspiration, skilled craftsmanship, collaborative leadership. But there's something else in this chapter that feels like a bit of a curveball. This whole thing about not working on the Sabbath, at all.
And the punishment for breaking it. Not exactly a slap on the wrist.
No, not at all. The chapter really emphasizes the absolute importance of the Sabbath. So it's presented as a sign of the covenant between God and the Israelites.
Right.
A day of rest, holy to the Lord. And yes, the punishment for violating it was death, a very serious matter.
Yeah, that's a far cry from casual Friday, that's for sure.
Right.
But it's fascinating that this commandment is placed right next to those instructions for building the tabernacle.
Yeah. It's like, here's this incredible project, this testament to human skill and divine inspiration. And right beside it is this command to just Stop.
It's like a divine counterbalance. Like, yes, there's this immense divinely inspired work to be done, but even with that, rest is non-negotiable. It's essential.
That's a really insightful observation. It seems to suggest that even in pursuing our purpose, even in something as extraordinary as building a sanctuary for God, we need to respect boundaries and prioritize our well-being. And that's a message that resonates even more strongly today in our always-on hustle culture. Maybe this ancient commandment is trying to tell us something about work-life balance, about the importance of stepping back, even when we're in the middle of something that we're so passionate about.
It certainly makes you think, doesn't it? Maybe the secret to a fulfilling and sustainable creative life really lies in finding that delicate balance between striving for excellence and honoring our need for rest and renewal.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We've gone from divinely appointed artisans to the importance of teamwork, from intricate craftsmanship to the absolute necessity of rest. It's amazing how much wisdom is packed into just a few verses, but I think we've only just scratched the surface.
We're back. Continuing our deep dive into Exodus chapter 31. And, we've been talking about divine inspiration, skilled craftsmanship, and that kind of surprising importance of rest, even in the middle of like this massive divinely ordained project.
It's amazing how much depth we've already uncovered, and I feel like there's still so much more to explore. But something just occurred to me, like we've been focusing so much on the creators, on Bezaleel and Aholiab and their team. But what about the people who were actually like on the receiving end of all this craftsmanship? What about the Israelites themselves?
Well, that's a fantastic point. I mean, we've been looking at this creation process, the human effort and the divine inspiration, but what about that impact on the community?
Exactly. Like imagine seeing this incredible tabernacle being built piece by piece in the middle of the desert, this portable palace for God, like a symbol of his presence among them. What kind of experience do you think that was for the Israelites?
Oh, it must have been incredibly powerful. Remember these people had just escaped from slavery. They were wandering in the wilderness, facing this uncertain future, and then right before their eyes, this magnificent structure just takes shape. Yeah. A tangible manifestation of God's promise to be with them, to guide them, to protect them.
Right. It's like this incredible fusion of art and faith, of human skill and divine inspiration, all coming together to create something truly awe-inspiring.
Yeah. It really makes you wonder about that emotional impact, the sense of hope and inspiration that the tabernacle must evoked in the hearts of the Israelites.
It wasn't just a functional structure, it was a work of art, a symbol of their identity as a people chosen by God. And to see it being built, to witness that transformation of raw materials into something so beautiful and meaningful, it must have been incredibly moving.
Yeah, absolutely. And it speaks to this deeper truth about the power of beauty, the power of art, the power of craftsmanship. I mean, these things aren't just, superficial decorations. They have this power to uplift us, to inspire us, to connect us to something transcendent, something beyond the everyday grind.
I think that's something we often forget in our modern world, don't you think? We tend to compartmentalize things, like art over here, faith over there, work somewhere else entirely. But this story, it reminds us that these things are all interconnected, that beauty and spirituality and human effort, they can come together to create something truly profound.
Yeah, it's a powerful reminder that art has a purpose. It's not just about aesthetics. It can be a vehicle for expressing our deepest beliefs, our hopes, our fears, our connection to something larger than ourselves.
And that connection is something we all crave, isn't it? Especially in today's world where it's so easy to feel isolated, disconnected, overwhelmed by the constant, noise and chaos.
Yeah, you're hitting on a really important point. I mean, we are social creatures. We crave meaning. We long for connection. And art, whether it's music or painting or architecture, or even something as simple as a beautifully crafted object, it can provide a bridge to that connection, to that sense of belonging to something larger than ourselves.
It's like those moments when you hear a piece of music that moved you to tears,
Yeah.
or you stand in awe of a breathtaking sunset,
Yeah.
or you witness a random act of kindness
Mm-hmm.
that just restores your faith in humanity. There's this feeling of being connected to something bigger, something more profound, something that transcends the everyday.
Exactly. And those moments, those experiences, they nourish our souls. They remind us of our shared humanity. They give us hope. They give us inspiration.
So in a way, the tabernacle wasn't just a physical structure. It was a catalyst for connection, a focal point
Wow.
for a community seeking meaning and purpose in the midst of
That's so.
uncertainty and
That's
change.
right. It provided this tangible symbol of their shared identity, their shared faith, their shared journey. It brought them together. It unified them. It reminded them that they weren't alone.
And that sense of community, of belonging, is so essential for our well-being, isn't it? It gives us a sense of purpose, a reason to get up in the morning, a feeling that we're part of something bigger than just our individual lives.
Absolutely. And it's something that we need to consciously cultivate, especially in a world that often feels, fragmented and isolating, whether it's, through joining a community group or volunteering our time or attending religious services or simply just making an effort to connect with our neighbors and loved ones. We need to find those spaces where we can come together and experience that sense of belonging.
I think that's a beautiful message to take away from this chapter.
Yeah.
It's not just about the craftsmanship or the divine inspiration or even the importance of rest. It's about the power of art and beauty to connect us, to uplift us, to remind us of our shared humanity and our connection to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah, it is. And it's about the importance of community,
Right.
of finding those spaces where we can come together and support each other and create something beautiful and meaningful, something that nourishes our souls.
Yeah.
And reminds us of what truly matters.
Okay, so we've explored the divine inspiration behind the tabernacle, the incredible skill and artistry involved in its creation, the impact on the community, and the powerful message it sends about the importance of beauty, connection, and belonging.
Right. And we've talked about that surprising inclusion of the Sabbath commandment right in the middle of all this creative energy, highlighting that crucial need for rest and renewal, even in the midst of pursuing our purpose.
It's amazing how much wisdom is packed into this one chapter. But I feel like we've only just begun to unpack its deeper meaning. There's one more layer I want to explore before we wrap up. It has to do with this idea of the Sabbath, but from a slightly different angle.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What are you thinking about?
Well, we've talked about the Sabbath as a time for physical rest, for stepping away from our work and recharging our batteries. But what about the mental and emotional aspects of rest? What about creating space for stillness, for contemplation, for simply being?
That's a fascinating perspective. You're right. The Sabbath isn't just about, getting enough sleep. It's about creating a sanctuary in time, a space where we can disconnect from the constant demands of the world and reconnect with ourselves, with our loved ones, with our spiritual source.
Exactly. It's about letting go of the doing and embracing the being. And that can be a really challenging concept in our always on hyper connected world.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, we're constantly bombarded with these messages that tell us to hustle harder, to be more productive, to never stop striving. But this ancient text, it reminds us that there's another way. A way that honors both our creative potential and our need for rest and renewal.
But isn't that kind of counterintuitive? I mean, we're talking about a chapter that's all about this incredible creative project, this divinely inspired masterpiece, and yet right in the middle of it, we get this commandment to just stop, to rest, to do nothing. Doesn't that seem a little contradictory.
It does, doesn't it? But maybe that's the point. Maybe the real message here is that true creativity requires both effort and ease. Both striving and surrendering. It's about finding that delicate balance between pouring our hearts into our work and allowing ourselves to step back, to recharge, to receive inspiration from a source beyond our own limited efforts.
That makes sense. It's like that saying, we can't pour from an empty cup. We need to replenish ourselves, to nourish our souls, to create space for stillness and reflection in order to be truly creative.
Exactly. And that's where the wisdom of the Sabbath comes in. It's not about being lazy or unproductive. It's about creating space for something else to emerge. It's about trusting that creative process, but surrendering to the rhythm of work and rest, knowing that stepping back isn't a sign of weakness, but a way to invite fresh perspective, deeper insight.
So it's not about emptiness. It's about creating this fertile void for new ideas, new insights, new inspiration to take root.
Precisely. It's like when you're working on a complex problem and you get so stuck that you just want to pull your hair out, but then you go for a walk, you take a shower, or you even just do the dishes, and suddenly the solution just pops in.
It's like those moments when you're not even trying to be creative, but your mind is relaxed and open, and suddenly inspiration strikes.
Yeah, that's because when you detach from the problem, when you allow your mind to relax and wander, you create space for your subconscious to work its magic, and that's where the real breakthroughs happen.
It's like planting a seed and then giving it the space and the time that it needs to grow.
Right.
We can't force the process. But we can create the conditions for creativity to flourish.
Beautifully put. And that's what the Sabbath is all about. It's about creating those conditions, those spaces for rest and renewal, for contemplation and connection, for surrendering to something larger than ourselves, and allowing inspiration to flow through us.
So maybe this ancient commandment is more relevant than ever in our modern world. It's a reminder that true creativity isn't about pushing ourselves to the limit. It's about finding that rhythm, that balance between effort and ease, between striving and surrendering, and that's a message I think we all need to hear.
Absolutely. It's about honoring our need for rest, for renewal, for connection, knowing that true creativity flows from a place of wholeness, not from a place of depletion.
It's a beautiful and profound message, and I think we've only just begun to explore its depths. But for now, let's take a pause. Let's reflect on everything we've discussed so far, and come back refreshed and ready to dive into the final part of our exploration. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Exodus chapter 31. It's been quite a journey. We've gone from the nitty-gritty of ancient craftsmanship to some pretty profound reflections on creativity, leadership, community, and that surprising power of rest.
It really has. It's been fascinating to see how these ancient ideas they still resonate so strongly today. It's like they've tapped into something fundamental about the human experience. Something that transcends time and culture.
You're right, and now as we kind of approach the end of our exploration, I want to kind of bring it all together and ask the big question: what does all this ancient wisdom have to teach us about living a more fulfilling and meaningful life in the modern world? Because I mean we've touched on so many powerful themes, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how we can actually apply these insights to our own lives.
That's a great question, and I think the answer lies in embracing this delicate dance between striving and surrendering. We're called to utilize our gifts, our talents, our inspiration to create, to build, to contribute to the world around us. But we also need to rest, to recharge, and to surrender to something larger than ourselves, trusting the timing of the creative process.
Yeah, that tension between striving and and surrendering is something I think a lot of us can relate to, especially in a culture that values this constant hustle and achievement. It's so easy to get caught up in that endless cycle of doing, always pushing ourselves to the limit. But this chapter from Exodus, it seems to be kind of whispering this different message, a message about finding a more harmonious way of being.
Yeah, you're picking up on something really important here. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance between effort and ease, between doing and being. And it's not about, achieving some static state of perfection. It's a dynamic process, a constant ebb and flow between pushing forward and letting go.
I love that image of a dance. It's so fluid, so expressive, so full of both energy and grace. It's not about rigidity or forcing things. It's about moving with the rhythm of life, finding those moments of harmony and balance.
And when we approach life with that mindset, with that willingness to both strive and surrender, it can transform our entire experience. Instead of seeing life as this constant uphill battle, we begin to see it as this creative collaboration, a partnership between our human efforts and the divine flow of the universe.
It's a beautiful way to put it. We're not alone in this journey. We're co-creating with something larger than ourselves, something that supports and guides us along the way. And maybe that's what true surrender is all about, trusting that flow, allowing ourselves to be guided, to be shaped, to be transformed by the creative forces that are always at work in the universe.
Yeah, it's a profound shift in perspective, isn't it? From a mindset of scarcity and fear to a mindset of abundance and trust. And when we make that shift, we open ourselves up to a whole new realm of possibilities. A realm where creativity flows effortlessly, where joy becomes our constant companion, and where connection and meaning they permeate every aspect of our lives.
That's an inspiring vision.
Yeah.
But it all starts with that simple yet profound act of rest, of creating space for stillness, for reflection, for reconnection with ourselves and with something larger than ourselves. And that's where the wisdom of the Sabbath comes in.
Exactly. Even after thousands of years, the Sabbath remains this powerful practice for cultivating that inner stillness, that connection to the source of our creativity and well-being. It's a reminder to slow down.
Yeah.
To step out of the busyness of the world and to reconnect with the things that truly matter, our families, our communities, our spiritual source, and the deepest yearnings of our own hearts.
And it's not just about setting aside one day a week.
Yeah.
So it's about integrating that Sabbath mindset into our daily lives.
Yeah.
Finding those moments of pause and renewal.
Yeah.
In the midst of our busy schedules. It's about honoring our limits, prioritizing our well-being, and recognizing that the rest is not a luxury. It's a necessity for a truly fulfilling and sustainable life.
Beautifully said. It's about creating a rhythm of work and rest, of striving and surrendering that allows us to live more fully, more creatively, and more joyfully. And when we do that, we not only enrich our own lives, but we also contribute to a more harmonious and compassionate world for everyone.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Exodus chapter 31, let's each take a moment to reflect on how we can bring this ancient wisdom into our modern lives.
Yeah.
How can we create more of those Sabbath moments, those spaces for rest, renewal, and reconnection?
Yeah.
How can we embrace the dance between striving and surrendering? Allow ourselves to both create and be created, and how can we cultivate a life filled with joy, meaning, and connection?
Those are powerful questions to ponder, and as you explore them, remember that you're not alone. We're all on this journey together, seeking to create a world where beauty, compassion, and creativity flourish. And in those moments when you feel lost or overwhelmed, remember the wisdom of the Sabbath pause, rest, reconnect, and trust that the universe is always guiding you towards your highest good.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it sparks some some new insights and inspired you to embrace the wisdom of the Sabbath in your own life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep choosing joy.